Now, think about that. What would, and I keep throwing this out there, what would the Tea Party's response be to all of a sudden Jeb Bush getting pushed to the top of the podium? That he's the golden boy, he's the man. When the Tea Party clearly is looking for Ron Paul. I believe that's what they're looking for, and we're going to find out with the CPAC with the straw poll. We're going to find out what they think too. Hey, we've got a caller on the line. Welcome to Real America.
Hey, John, it's Texas.
Hello, welcome.
How are you doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, wasn't Jeb Bush also involved in the savings and loan scandal?
I believe the Bush family was, if I'm not mistaken. They were in there. I think they were owners of a number of those entities.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think about him being president.
Yeah.
You know?
See, he brings a whole lot to the table that's probably he doesn't want to bring. And we go back to his father, and to King George I, as I like to call him, and his ties to the Saudi family. That's not a good thing, right? So we got to look at that as huge baggage. And then you've got 8 years of George II, King George II, and everything that his Patriot Act and everything that he's come to mean to us, in a very special way. I think that's too much to overcome. Even if he could be the second coming of the Messiah, I don't think he gets a chance. And if he does, just like John Thompson said, if he does, you got to pull everything back and go, wait a second, who's behind the curtain making this happen?
Right. It's incredible to think about those things. When you say so, Texas?
I'd say so. And I wanted to bring something up, too. You were talking about the unions. I hate bringing you back to a past subject, but there was an article that came out about independent business owners. They now have a see something, say something for your boss. And they actually will allow the unions to go in, and if you say you don't want the unions to come in and talk to your employees, they can investigate you. They can cause you a lot of grief. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember exactly what they can do, but unions are a bad thing now. They're actually using them for some sort of agenda. We had a long discussion, as you know, I'm in HR. We had a long discussion about what this does to the small business owner. It basically shuts them down.
Now, I know some of the larger companies that I'm extremely familiar with, and their branches that are down here in Florida. As companies merge, pieces of these merging companies, some parts are union and some parts are not union, and that's a huge hurdle in bringing a merger together between company A and company B, trying to bring those two together to form this company C thing. The union is a huge obstacle, and they get concessions left and right. And in a number of instances, what happens is that company B, who's non-union, they get broken up into divisions, and then some of those divisions are mandated to go union. And this is a compromise with the union so that this merger can happen. And this takes place over and over again. And it's just a matter of time before that new company goes from 30 to 40 to 60% union, to the point where even if you're not union, you have to obey certain rules and regulations that are really union rules and regulations that are being placed upon you. And it's all part of that giant compromise. And it's a huge obstacle for companies who are trying to survive by merging together to get a better profit so that they can continue to grow and provide products and services. It's a huge thing, just like the healthcare was a huge thing. And we saw the fallout. I saw it personally, the fallout from that last year, when all of a sudden jobs they went overseas to do contract work as an American here in America, to do contract work for an American-based company. You were forced to go through a company in India. Mm-hmm. Because by doing that, you avoid the whole healthcare debacle, everything. You're not entitled to any of it because you're working for a foreign company at that point.
There goes Tata Industries, right back into the middle of it.
Yeah, and these are the things, the ramifications, when they say, well, you'll have to pass the bill to read the bill. No, you have to understand the ramifications of what it is you're asking the people, the government, to do. And who put this bill together in Congress, like, in this case, let's say the healthcare bill, who put it together? Did they think or consider the possibility that, this might actually make manufacturers ship jobs overseas that will not come back here. Therefore, we're going to lose that tax revenue. Did they ever think about that part? And I don't really don't think they did. I think they just put it together and threw it out there.
John, I really don't understand, or what I don't get is all these companies that are getting waivers. They pass this law, and then it's like, hey, I did give you some campaign money. How about a waiver my way? As soon as people express any kind of dissatisfaction with it, if they have enough employees, they're going to get a waiver, and it's pretty ridiculous.
You've got the same thing with certain religious groups when it comes to things like Social Security. You can get a waiver that you don't have to pay. I'm trying to think.
Mennonites.
Mennonites. Thank you. That group, they have a waiver because they can prove that they take care of their own and they don't utilize or require or need Social Security. Therefore, they can get a waiver and they don't have to pay that Social Security tax. Well,
they were also excluded in the health care bill.
And they're excluded in the health care bill. That was the next one I was going to bring up. They do the same thing in the health care bill. So as bills come in, certain groups are going to qualify under IRS codes, under certain codes that are in there. How did those codes get in there in the first place? It's because some lobbyists went and said, look, guys, we need an exemption. If you want their support in this district where they vote, you need to put this in to secure their vote. And some congressman will go up and say, look, I need this put in there. I need an exemption. And everyone's got their little get-out-of-jail-free cards, and they all pull their favors and whatnot as they work together. I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back. These are the things you come up with. So I like the idea in Congress that if the bill only is about one subject, it gets one topic, and it has to reference in the Constitution where it makes it legal and binding, where they have the authority to do it. I think these are all little obstacles that get put in the way to at least slow down the process.
Right. So you would support the Read the Bills Act, and you would also support the Enumerated Powers Act. Yes,
I would. Anything at this point that slows down the wheel of Congress, I'm for it. Anything that slows down the wheel of the executive branch from creating agencies like crazy, it's just incredible. That they just, let's wake up today and my goal today is to create 3 new agencies. What can I do? And that's what it feels like. Every time you turn around, we have a new czar, for something. What's it going to be? The pooper scooper czar for Central Park? That's the next thing. And we're going to have this whole task force, attacking people in Central Park. We have dogs that are above 5.5 pounds. We'll have little scales with us and just crazy stuff. But it all helps the economy because it's putting people back to work, getting jobs out there.
Hey, you were talking about crazy laws or how they pass these laws with all these subjects, and it reminded me of what happened this week with the Patriot Act extension, and how the House, the Republicans thought, hey, well, we're going to have the votes. We're going to have the votes to do with 2/3 majority, so let's just ram this extension through the House, and we're not going to have to worry about anybody sandbagging it with really negative amendments or anything like that. And lo and behold, it was 27 Republicans didn't vote for it, and it was enough. It failed by 7 votes to get a 2/3 majority.
I'll tell you, I like to see that stuff just kind of fall off the wayside. Just let that stuff sunset, let it expire, get this stuff out of there. I think after almost 300 years here, I think we've got enough. We've created enough rules, enough laws, regulations. Are there any left to be had? Or is
they're going to flip around, and they're going to find a way to pass it. Though they're going to flip it around on us.
Well, they're going to keep trying. What do they say? Evil never gives up.
Evil never sleeps. We have it's until the 28th because all these things expire on the 28th. So you got a little over 2 weeks. They're gonna do it. It'll get sandbagged with some interesting things, but it'll still go through. The really funny thing is the news media originally was reporting this as some sort of Tea Party insurrection or Tea Party victory, and only 7 people had been 7 of those Republicans were freshmen who were somewhat identified with the Tea Party. out of what, the 72 freshman Republicans. So it's pretty wild for the media to even claim with any shred of integrity that this was a Tea Party backed thing, and not a partisan vote where a percentage of the Republicans said, "Hey, wait a minute, civil liberties are important too," and to try to associate that directly with a Tea Party, it's a little bit of a stretch when you look at those numbers. I think that the people who were really big on the Constitution and were getting calls from their constituents, they probably turned and they didn't vote the Republican Party line. But the rest of them, it really shows you how fast, how quickly these Tea Party patriots really rolled over when push came to shove.
Yeah.
And they're reporting it here that it's the Democrats. And Paulie's right in the chat room. It's only two components of the Patriot Act. It's not the whole thing.
Right. Right. I mean, because they extended the three parts of it last year, then so there was the 2 parts this year, and some of the things last year they actually made permanent. I think that had been previously set to expire. So it's really incredible to see. That I mean, the only thing out of this that has any real note is the fact that Boehner was in the Republican leadership was confident that they would be able to get the 2/3, and it didn't happen. And maybe this raises a question about the confidence they can have in their ranks to have that bulletproof 2/3 vote, to just shove things through and make the Senate deal with it.
Yeah, anyone who would have that kind of a power, and that's why we have a separation of powers, so that one group cannot, or one person cannot, just take over a whole branch, or 2 branches of the government. But when you get political parties, once one party is controlling 2 branches or both houses in the Congress, it's a very difficult situation. They can basically ram stuff through. They can make up whatever they want, and then when they have the power, they cry about it. And they're throwing snowballs at one another in powder puffs. Hey,
and as a Tea Party member, they are not keeping to their promise of getting things back to normal. That's keeping it back to the same old nonsense.
They made a promise, and the Tea Party, those Tea Party patriots, are not going to forget it. They're going to have the elephant's memory on this one. And when the time comes around when the time comes around for that next election, if you didn't stick to the line, just go home. Don't even go hang out with Jeb Bush somewhere. Have a beer, relax, because you ain't going to be there. All right? Hey, I've got
enjoy your
else.
pension, right?
Yeah, that's something else I want to throw at you. This one's kind of out in your area, Texas. Arizona rancher will fight a court order to pay damages to undocumented immigrants. Now,
yeah, they're suing. Illegals are suing the ranchers and winning.
Yes, apparently this rancher has a nice spread down there on the border. And it's a nightly occurrence for him to have people coming across his land, drug smugglers, just people hopping the fence, trying to look for a better life. But he's got this steady stream of exodus coming across his property, and the FBI has told him that he's in danger and he's in a difficult situation and he needs to be careful. He's gotten all the warnings from the government, but no solutions. So this guy stops this one particular group, and he goes out there with a shotgun and says, "That's it, I've had enough. Stay where you are, I'm calling the cops." So he puts the gun on him, right? And he has the right to defend his property. It's, in the Texas Constitution, or in this is Arizona Constitution, he got the right to defend himself. So he goes about doing this. The cops show up, they arrest him, and they lock him up because he detained them at gunpoint.